Dessie Ellis. 10 minutes.
It is part of what Lum Falcha, Howard Stumbillishaw, August Boyacus, Dutch Octadala, Dennis Naughton, Marialler. I want to welcome the opportunity to speak here today on behalf of the Sinn Féin Party on Dennis Naughton's Criminal Law Incest Amendment Bill 2012, and I commend Deputy Naughton on his preparation of this bill. Deputy Naughton's bill proposes to end a legal loophole which has ensured for 17 years that men are liable for life imprisonment if convicted of incest, while women may face only shorter sentences. The bill seeks to amend the Punishment of Incest Act 1908, a law inherited by the Irish state after independence, so that both men and women can be imprisoned for life. As most members here today know, the original legislation carried a maximum prison term of 7 years. This was extended in 1993 and 1995 after public outcry when a Kilkenny father was jailed for abusing his daughter. The problem is that although the legislation now means that men can face life imprisonment for such crimes, the amendments did not cover women. This means that the law is now different for men and women. Women are still faced only with a 7-year maximum sentence. Over the years, we've had a number of cases which have highlighted the need for this change in the law. And one particular high-profile case in Deputy Naughton's own constituency comes to mind. At the time, the judge pointed to the need for legislative intervention to remedy this discrepancy, and there was a public call from legal experts to have equal sentencing for men and women convicted of incest. This bill also highlights the fact that there is a true failure on the part of this state to proactively review and modernise legislation relating to sexual crimes. Sexual violence is probably the most pervasive crime in Irish society, yet it remains under-reported, under-investigated, under-prosecuted. Conviction rates are low, and criminal sentences rarely reflect the devastating impact of the crime on its victims. For their part, policymakers and policing services consistently fail to give this crime the focus or resources it deserves. Service provision for victims and survivors is entirely dependent on the luck of where one resides, and there is a lack of consultation with those affected regarding the types of services that they want and need. There are currently an insufficient number of sexual assault treatment units, SATUs, across the country. According to research conducted by the RCNI, the reasons why victims do not make complaints or reports to the Gardaí vary and are complex, and concerns about the criminal justice system feature prominently among the main reasons. But the most commonly stated reason is that the victim did not want others to know what had happened. In general, we need new, more effective systems backed by increased resources, training and other measures to ensure that sexual assaults and sexual abuse are thoroughly and sensitively investigated and prosecuted, and that the victims/survivors receive adequate support to proceed with and complete a prosecution. Sinn Féin acknowledge that most child victims of abuse are abused by a family member. Therefore, measures such as sex offender registers and vetting in isolation will not stop abhorrent crimes of sexual abuse from occurring. We recognise the potentially grave harm that can be caused to children and others by tabloid-style name and shame policies, particularly victims and survivors of incest, and therefore oppose such policies. We call for adequate resourcing of best practice sex offender treatment programmes, both in custody and post-release in the community. Sinn Féin believes that safeguarding the well-being of children and young people to protect them from physical, sexual, emotional harm and neglect should be a priority in law and policy. In all matters concerning the child, the welfare and protection of the young person must be paramount. In concluding, I want to reiterate my support for Deputy Naughton's bill and state that I and my party will support its passage to committee stage. This is something that should have happened a long time ago. I also want to repeat the call for this government to prioritise reforming the law around sexual crimes to create a safer environment for all our citizens.